Hello and welcome, wonderful patrons. Thank you for tuning in. I hope your summer is going well. So I'm speaking to you on August 12th, 2023. You might be listening to this, who knows, in August, September, in December. But anyway, today what I have for you is a brief offering, brief but hopefully valuable offering. I'm going to lead you through a short, compact restorative yoga practice. And part of my inspiration for this is number one, I just haven't recorded a kind of compact practice in a while. Number two, I've been offering a lot of and teaching a lot of backbend classes, and those are, I think, fun, wonderful, transformative, but that it does require a certain kind of more rigorous work. So offering something restorative from time to time, it feels valuable. And, we certainly should all be balancing out that kind of more rigorous active work with restorative work. And then the other piece too is I actually am working right now on a series of blog posts for the Herbal Academy, who I write and edit for. And it's about herbal formulas that match the phases of the moon. And so I've been thinking more about lunar phases and the various energies that go along with the lunar phases. So whether it's a more active, creative, extroverted time, or a more internal resting time, or a time for intention setting, or for sort of fruition and manifestation. And so right now, as I'm speaking to you, we're in the balsamic phase of the moon. So we're just approaching that new moon. And, as we kind of go into that like darker moon phase, this can be a really good time for sort of going more inward, resting. This new moon phase can be likened to the winter solstice in the solar cycle. So, with that, if you find that you're having the urge to kind of go inward more and have some more quiet time, it can be good to go along with that and to find ways of supporting that in what you do in your practices. So supporting that in a way that feels satisfying and healthful and nourishing. So hence the inspiration for our restorative practice today. So without further ado, let's get started. So we're going to start off with Supta Baddha Konasana, reclined bound angle pose. Now, of course, I have, being an Iyengar yogi, an Iyengar yoga practitioner and teacher, I have several props that I keep in my home. If you don't have all of these things, you can, of course, just make do with whatever you have around that's similar. But we'll start off with the vertical bolster and 3 blankets. And I'm going to use 1 blanket for my head. So, you can imagine if you don't have all these things, you can find similar things around the house. And one thing about the restorative poses is we really want to set the poses up in such a way that we can stay for a while. So we get more benefit from these types of supported restful poses when we stay for at least a few minutes. So that said, you want to take the time and the care to set the pose up in such a way that you can stay for a while and sort of allow yourself to deepen into the pose and allow the quieting that comes to the nervous system when you stay in the poses for a while. So you'll start sitting up on the bolster, on the edge of the bolster, feet together, knees apart, and then you slide off toward the floor. And this method, rather than cranking the legs in towards you, this method of sliding helps keep the inner legs soft and the abdomen soft, which will have a more quieting effect on the nervous system. And then also we're not reinforcing the various grips and holds and tightnesses in the body. And then take that blanket so it goes all the way up to the shoulder line so the entire neck is supported. Arms to the sides, palms up, have the arms below shoulder height so it's more restful that way. Sometimes I see people throw the arms way up here, and it's not as restful as a pose that way. If that feels really good to you and you can keep the heads of the shoulders down, you can do that for a little bit just to try and see what that feels like. But then go ahead and take those arms down, roll the arms from inside out so you tuck your shoulder blades onto the back, and then see if you can find a place of stillness and just rest. So we will be here for a few minutes. I'm going to be quiet for part of that time. I have not gone away, but it's important that we incorporate periods of quiet throughout our day, each day, or at least one, little island of quiet. If you do have a very active life or have small children at home or something where you don't get a lot of quiet, even if you take 5-10 minutes a day to just have some quiet, it can have an immensely restorative, rejuvenating effect on your mind and nervous system. Now you can keep your eyes softly open here or close your eyes completely. And just watch the natural ebb and flow of your breath. Now, if you're not already there, very ever so gently begin to cultivate just slightly deeper breath into that upper chest region. It's nothing dramatic. Just allow that inhale to fill and expand the upper chest from the inside out. And then exhale, can you keep some of that fullness and let go? So on the exhale, can you keep some of that lift of the chest and deflate the abdomen, deflate your face. And again, release between your eyebrows, release the root of the tongue. Let the lower jaw release slightly from the upper jaw. And in the stillness, can you allow for the process of unraveling to take place? A little bit longer here. All right, now you can stay a little longer. Or I also want to show you there are a couple of other ways that you can practice Supta Baddha Konasana. Actually, there are many other ways. And one other way that you can do is you can also take with the horizontal bolster. So sometimes when I'm teaching back bends or preparing to work on back bends myself, I'll take the bolster this way. So this creates a gentle back bending action when you take the bolster horizontal. So, you can try both ways. And this is a good way to practice is you take one pose and try it 2 or 3 different ways, and you see what are the effects of each. So from here, we can also go this way and recline and get that bolster for more the middle back. My head is going slightly back, arms to the sides, and then you can take whatever support you need for your head so you get a feeling of length across the back of the neck. All right, and then I'm going to show you one more way that I have actually personally been rather fond of lately. So a friend of mine had this very cool little prop. It's like a little roller. Many of you have maybe worked with foam rollers, but this is like a a little mini roller here. It's, in case you're interested, the brand is Up Circle 7. Anyway, I've been really enjoying this roller, not only for sort of rolling out my spine and back muscles, but also I found another use for it. So I'm just going to show you how I've been using this little tool lately. And even if you don't have this exact tool, maybe you have something like it, or also it's just to encourage you to, be creative, to be inventive with the things that you do have access to, because sometimes something that is not necessarily marketed as a yoga prop can become that for you if you are creative with how to use it. So I'm going to take this roller here. It's actually quite nice just to roll out for a moment for my upper back, and then I tilt the bolster on its side so it comes right up to support my neck and the base of the skull. And then from here, I'm going to cross my legs, cross my shins this time, and then let my arms release to the side. And now I'm getting this back bending action for the upper back, throat soft, abdomen soft, and this has an uplifting effect, but also on my, sort of mental outlook, mood, right? When the chest is lifted, there's that invigorating quality, but then also there's a quieting as well with the head supported, the neck supported in this way. Good to stay here for a couple of minutes. So I have my shins crossed. So for those who know swastikasana, swastikasana legs. So my shins are crossed. I can stay here this way for a couple minutes and then change the cross of the legs and stay a little bit longer. So, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. Of course, you can pause the recording at any point, take anything I'm offering you, extend it out in your own practice. But I'll just give you the basics here, the outline, and then you can flesh this out on your own as you would like. Okay. So now let's go ahead and take, well, first let's just sit for a moment and get the legs extended out straight, since we've had the legs bent for a while. You can sit and just take the feet wide, sit up, Upavishta Konasana. So take your hands behind you. If you need to sit on height, sit on height. Press the legs down. See if you can more and more feel the gap between the backs of the legs and the floor. All right, and then let's go ahead and take a supported forward bend from here. So I'm taking a bolster and putting it over my shin. Now, if that doesn't work for you, if that's too low, you could take a chair or a stool and put it here and rest your head on that chair or stool. You could stack two bolsters up. You can also take, I'll show you, you can also take blocks and put blocks down. So you can put blocks on the high height or on the medium height, and then put your bolster on top of that. And then from here, you turn out over that right leg, and then just fold the arms, rest the head and the backs of the hands. And then you take, you adjust the support in the way that makes sense for you. So that's a little high for me. So I'm just going to, actually kind of like having that bolster there as support. So I'm just going to lower it down a little bit, send that bolster slightly away. And then you can stay for about 1 to 2 minutes on this side, and then we'll change sides. So see if you can find something like this. It doesn't have to be my exact setup. So we need to obviously adjust the setup to fit our own bodies, but see if you can find something similar to this. And I will just say that having your head resting, having that gentle pressure on the forehead, it has a particularly quieting effect on the brain. So it's different than having your head floating in the air. So find something, a chair, a stool, a bolster, whatever it is, so that you can actually let your head rest. All right, I'll be quiet for a little bit, so hopefully you can find some peace and quiet too. And then we'll change the sides. So whatever support you use on the first side, you want to replicate on that on the second side. So if you do have one side where you're much more tight, you'll want to accommodate that for both sides, so you don't want to go, so you'll want to back off, basically, is what I'm saying, on the more flexible side, because if you always go further and further with that flexible side, then that tighter side never catches up. So same thing, if you always make the stronger side stronger, then the weaker side doesn't catch up. So sometimes you need to sort of restrain a little bit that side that is stronger and more flexible to let the other side catch up. And then again, see that you can fold the arms, let the head rest. Inhale, extend the spine, take the back body in, back ribs in, and then exhale, turn the abdomen right to left. Also bring these right side ribs around to the front body, just a little bit longer here. Now, of course, that said, any of these poses, you can stay for as long as makes sense for you. If you're getting into a good spot, you're getting some quiet, some relief, it's feeling good, you can stay a little longer. All right, but in interest of time, we will come on up, come on out. All right, and then our next pose, we're going to do a back bend in the chair, over the seat of the chair. And we're going to do with head support. I'll show you how I'm going to support my head. This is only one option. So you can, of course, if you have another way that you like to work, you can, of course, do as seen fit for you, for your body. However, what I am going to do today is I'm going to fold my sticky mat, put it on the seat of the chair. And then I'm going to put a bolster down for my feet. So we don't want to be struggling to rest the feet on the floor in this pose, not today. And then I'm going to take a block and put it on the low height, and then I'm going to angle the bolster. Now you may need the block on a higher height for you. So like all these poses, we have to sort of custom fit them to our bodies. So you can go in and out, try a couple times, and then find that place that's restful for you. So there's this angling up of the bolster, and you'll see why in a moment. So that's kind of the important feature here. And again, this is just one way of doing it, but if you've never tried it, try it out for today and see for yourself. Okay, and then I'm going to eventually straighten my legs. So I just have that bolster handy. And then when I lie down, when you lie down, keep your back body wide, those back ribs wide, moving from the center out to the sides, the periphery. And then you're just going to lower down until the back of the head gently rests on the supports. And then from there, you can extend the legs out and just let the arms be soft here. So remember, we're going for a restorative practice today. So just let it be soft. The legs are straight. Now, sometimes people ask me, is the buttocks gripped here? Don't grip your buttocks, but just work on getting those legs straight. So extend from the frontal thighs to the knees, flatten out the frontal thighs, heels down, toes up. Abdomen soft, face relaxed, eyes gently open, and breath smooth and soft. Now you want to be careful that your head isn't being jammed in this pose, so it's just gently resting. So there's no hardness in the neck or hardness in the head. Now, just for contrast then, you can remove, you may need to come out to do this, but if you can remove that block, you can take the block out and then let the top of the head come out a little further and just let the top of the head, that back crown of the head gently rest and see what that feels like. Again, you don't want to be jamming your head or jamming your neck here. There just should be a gentle resting in the back crown of the head. And smooth, soft breaths into the upper chest. You can also fold your arms or hold your elbows, take those forearms overhead. Keep the legs active though. So the legs are gently active. You can rest your forearms on that bolster. And then change the cross of the arms. Again, take the arms overhead and let them rest. Note the feeling in your middle upper back, your back ribs, the chest, and also the abdomen. You might get a really nice release and lengthening of the abdomen here. Let your abdomen be soft. So let the abdomen be a recipient. Don't harden or purposely extend the abdomen. Just extend through the legs. Let the breath be natural and let your abdomen soften and just see what happens. All right, a little bit longer here. And then go ahead and bend your knees, feet flat on the floor. Now, of course, again, you can stay longer if you're getting into a really nice, juicy, quiet place, a place of spaciousness, of release. But otherwise, you can use your hands as support, sit up, and just be there for a moment. So sit upright, just give yourself a moment to let that digest and sort of seep in. So you can feel the effects of the pose. You know, something that Abhijata Iyengar was saying in class earlier this week is part of the way that yoga works is that we learn to be less reactive and more responsive because we take an action and we observe the results. So this is how we want to be in our practice, where we act and then we observe the action. And then this sort of slows down that gap, right, between something happening and then how we respond, so that we can respond then in a more thoughtful way, in a way that ultimately we may end up feeling better about, right? Okay, so now let's move on to